Hajun, still outside, called to his team, instructing them to tempt the pair with promises of more money for the livestream, hoping that the lure of profit might convince them to continue despite the danger. As the drone flew further, the camera revealed the director's lifeless body, a horrifying sight that sent a chill down Hajun's spine. Suddenly, the spirit began moving directly toward him, and before he could react, the scene abruptly cut to another terrifying moment. The film kicks off with a chilling silence blanketing the ruins of Gonjiam Mental Hospital. Once a bustling asylum, it's now nothing but a graveyard of memories, the very place where its director brutally slaughtered every patient before ending his own life. Into this darkness stepped two daring streamers, their cameras broadcasting every move to a massive online audience. Hyped and fearless, they boast that no one can stop them tonight. With a rush of adrenaline, they push deeper into the decaying halls, heading straight for the notorious Room 402, a door no one has ever dared to open. Until now, as the door slowly swings open, a loud bell suddenly echoes through the halls. The camera shakes violently, catching a quick glimpse of a terrifying shadow before everything cuts out. Moments later, the two boys are simply gone. Their live stream ends abruptly, leaving thousands of viewers in shock and fear. The news spreads everywhere, and while most are horrified, one person sees this as an opportunity. Hajun, the popular face behind Horror Times. He decides to take on the challenge, planning a live exploration of the asylum to uncover the truth. As he digs deeper, he learns that back in the 1960s, this hospital was considered the pride of the region. But one night, a bizarre incident claimed 50 lives at once, and the hospital's director mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind an abandoned building filled with dread and unanswered questions. Soon, strange rumors started to swirl about the hospital, whispers of twisted experiments on patients, and even stories of the Japanese army using it as a torture camp. Determined to uncover what really happened, a new team is formed. It includes Harjan and 3 brave girls, one of whom is psychic. She has a gift, the ability to sense paranormal activity, whether spirits or jinn. She has already investigated 3 haunted sites where real supernatural presence was recorded, making her the team's strongest weapon. The scene shifts to night. The sky is dark, the air heavy, as the group prepares to step into the dreaded hospital. One by one, the team walks past the hospital gates, cameras and mics in hand. Fear is written on their faces as they step inside. The air feels heavy, almost toxic. The corridors are swallowed in darkness. Broken furniture lies scattered, and years of dust coat every surface. It feels like the building itself is watching them. Outside, Harjan sets up the livestream control station, choosing to stay behind while the others go in. As they explore room after room, tension grows. In the lab, their flashlights sweep across the counters until they find something disturbing. A container holding a dead chicken, preserved as if part of some long-forgotten ritual or experiment. Outside, the team suddenly let out a scream. From a distance, it looked like a corpse was floating in the abandoned swimming pool. Hearts racing, they poked at it with a stick, only to realize it was just an old rag drifting in the water. Inside, one of the girls decided to mark the moment. She wrote her name on the wall, calling it the first daring experiment of her life. Beneath it, she scribbled the words, "Let's live life." Determined to protect the group, she began sprinkling holy water throughout the asylum's halls. Meanwhile, one of the boys stayed near the camera, explaining everything to the livestream audience, until suddenly the feed went dark. The connection had dropped. At that very moment, the door to a room behind him creaked open on its own. The infamous director's room, the man everyone believed had murdered all the patients. From outside, Hajun urged him to step inside. With trembling hands, he entered and his flashlight fell on a wall covered with photographs, pictures of every patient, and among them, the director himself. It was there that he pieced together the grim truth. After the massacre, the army had permanently shut down the asylum. Later, Hajun and Charlotte addressed the livestream audience, revealing that they had secured the asylum from the inside, locking it up to prevent anyone else from entering. For now, the team huddled in the dim half-rooms of the asylum, tense and waiting, each wondering who, if anyone, would experience the first sign of the supernatural. Minutes dragged on, but nothing happened. Finally, they gathered in the director's room, ready to begin a ritual to summon the ghost. The space had been transformed. Bells hung from the ceiling, candles flickered on every surface, and other objects believed to attract spirits were carefully placed around them. As the ritual commenced, a sudden chill filled the room. One by one, the candles extinguished themselves, and the bells they had hung began to ring violently. Fear took over completely. Everyone bolted for the exit, hearts pounding, their terror almost tangible in the cold, haunted air. But then, after digging into a pile of debris, a rat suddenly scurried out, revealing itself to be nothing more than a prank by Hajun's friends. Sitting outside, Hajun couldn't contain his excitement. The stunt had sent his live stream views soaring, and the chat exploded with likes and comments. Meanwhile, Charlotte, the team psychic, began teasing the others to act as if they'd seen a ghost, hoping to stir up more reactions and boost engagement. But just as she urged them on, the lights in her own tent began to flicker, casting long, eerie shadows that made her words feel suddenly far too real. Charlotte continues her work, assuming the flickering lights are just a generator glitch. Meanwhile, the rest of the team moves toward the lab where they had earlier discovered the dead chicken, a camel, and a kite. One detail lingers in their minds, a doll they had noticed during their previous visit. But now, as they step inside, the doll is no longer in its original place. The sudden movement sends shivers down Jinan and Charlotte, both of whom had observed but not interfered. Tension spikes when a team member points out a chilling detail. The doll's face bears an uncanny resemblance to a patient whose photograph they had seen in the director's room. The boy, filled with curiosity, reached out to pick up the doll, but Charlotte quickly grabbed his hand, her voice urgent, "Don't touch it." Panic rippled through her as sweat drenched her forehead. Something was undeniably wrong, and she wanted out of the room immediately. Once she regained her composure, she rejoined the group. The 8 members split into 2 teams. 4 of them made their way upstairs toward the infamous room 402, while the other 4 decided to explore the therapy room. Inside, they were met with a chilling sight. Rows of containers resembling coffins, each with a small hole at the front, as if waiting for something to emerge. One boy cautiously slipped his hand into one of the small holes, pretending that something inside had grabbed him. He let out a loud, terrified scream. This time, Charlotte froze in genuine fear, trying desperately to stop the others, but no one paid attention. Chasing views, the group took turns, each pretending they were being pulled from inside the containers, egged on by instructions from Hajun outside. Finally, under immense pressure, Charlotte reluctantly followed suit. But what she had dreaded actually came true. Something inside the coffin latched onto her hand, gripping it with an unyielding force, refusing to let go. When Charlotte screamed, the others rushed to help, grabbing her arms and pulling with all their might, but whatever held her was far stronger. After a tense struggle, it finally released her hand. When she pulled it free, a sharp pain ran through her fingers, as if long, jagged nails had scraped her skin. Panic surged through the group. They bolted down the corridor, but horror struck again. Someone had grabbed Charlotte's cuff along the way. Reaching the wall where she had earlier written, "Let's live," beneath her name, she froze. The words had changed. Now it read, "Your death." Fear gripped her like never before. Faced with mounting terror, Hajun and Charlotte chose survival over views and decided to end the mission. Charlotte, tears streaming down her face, spoke into her camera, recording what she feared might be her final vlog. Her voice trembled as she confessed that it felt like some unseen force had granted her life temporarily, only to pull it away soon. Meanwhile, Hajun, still outside, called to his team, instructing them to tempt the pair with promises of more money for the livestream, hoping that the lure of profit might convince them to continue despite the danger. Before the 2 boys could catch up, Charlotte and the others burst out of the asylum, running for their lives. But outside, the dense bushes trapped them, twisting and turning in the darkness with no clear path forward. Inside, Hajun and his team, who had intended to stage a paranormal livestream, faced horrors far beyond their imagination. In the storeroom, a wheelchair rolled on its own. Then, an unseen force assaulted them, all captured on camera. A flying object suddenly struck one of the boys on the head, sending him crashing unconscious. Meanwhile, as another boy tried to escape the room, the door slammed shut violently in his face, leaving him trapped. Outside, Charlotte and Hajun catch a strange, foul scent in the air, the same as the dead chicken and chemicals they had seen in the lab, and realize it seems to be following them. Panic grips Charlotte. Just as she tries to warn Hajun, a sudden weakness overtakes her. She blinks, and everything goes pitch black. Terrified, she stumbles back into the tent, screaming. Peering outside through the shadows, she sees Hajun standing motionless in a corner, flashlight in hand, staring down at the doll from the lab, now lying eerily at his feet. Charlotte screams again, her terror rising as she comes face to face with a ghostly creature. In the blink of an eye, something grabs her and drags her into the inky darkness, and her cries slowly fade away. Upstairs, Hajun's colleague, who had been knocked unconscious earlier, regains awareness. He sees the others attempting to open the dreaded room 402 and immediately rushes to stop them, shouting warnings about the spirits that truly haunt the asylum. But his pleas fall on deaf ears. Suddenly, a small, unseen object hurtles toward them, and just as the door to room 402 creaks open, Charlotte's screams pierce the air, chilling everyone to the bone. As the door finally swings open, the room is swallowed by absolute darkness. Their infrared cameras, the only tools capable of detecting the spirits, begin to flicker wildly, and every other device shuts down. The live stream cuts off instantly. In the next moment, the three find themselves standing in a room filled with water, eerily resembling a swimming pool. Fear grips them entirely as shadowy figures emerge from the depths, surrounding them. Within seconds, three distinct spirits take their positions, each one looming closer, leaving the trio paralyzed with terror. Hajun, having completely lost contact with his team, cautiously approached the asylum to check on them. From a distance, he spotted a figure standing in a window, frozen and ominous. Fear gripped him. He couldn't bring himself to step inside. Thinking quickly, he attached a camera to a drone and sent it into the building. What it captured made his blood run cold. The figure inside was his exact double. As the drone flew further, the camera revealed the director's lifeless body, a horrifying sight that sent a chill down Hajun's spine. Suddenly, the spirit began moving directly toward him, and before he could react, the scene abruptly cut to another terrifying moment. The wheelchair, moving on its own, suddenly rolled toward room 402 and struck one of the boys with terrifying force. Outside, the live stream showed the chaos, but after a long delay, everyone eventually fled, causing the broadcast to cut abruptly. Online viewers, unaware of the true horrors, began commenting, dismissing it as staged or fake. In the movie's chilling post-credit scene, the holy water that Charlotte had carefully sprinkled throughout the asylum starts to bubble and steam on its own, proving that the place is truly haunted. With that haunting revelation, the film ends, leaving the audience in a state of uneasy suspense.